Imagine walking onto a glittering Hollywood set, cameras humming, the air thick with ambition and expectation. Now imagine that before a single line of dialogue is filmed, the entire crew already knows that something is off. Whispers bounce between makeup artists and lighting techs. Coffee cups tremble in anxious hands. Someone important has arrived, and she's already rewriting the rules. That someone is Meghan Markle. After years of royal drama, after headlines that painted her as both victim and villain, Meghan was supposed to stage the comeback of a lifetime. A glossy Amazon film, 2 Oscar-winning co-stars, a new beginning, or so it seemed. But behind the curtain of expensive lighting and public smiles, another story began to unfold, one that would shake even seasoned Hollywood insiders. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Lily Collins, known for her calm professionalism and warmth on set, didn't plan to say anything. She never does. Her reputation has always been built on kindness, quiet leadership, and focus. But what she witnessed over those first few days, the power plays, the backhanded remarks, the icy silences that followed when the cameras stopped rolling, left her stunned. She'd worked with demanding actors before, but never anything like this. The film was supposed to be a feel-good feminist drama, co-starring Brie Larson and directed by an award-winning visionary. It was meant to symbolize female empowerment, equality, and the unity of powerful women reclaiming their narrative. The irony? Behind the scenes, one woman was allegedly dismantling that unity, one ego clash at a time. When news broke that Meghan was returning to acting, social media exploded. Supporters called it the redemption arc. Critics called it a PR gamble. Amazon called it a new era for female-driven storytelling. The public called it entertaining. But what no one expected was how quickly this comeback story would unravel. From day one, people started noticing little things. Crew members who refused to make eye contact. Assistants whispering about last-minute changes. A stylist who quietly quit after the first week. Still, no one dared say the word out loud. Not until Lily Collins finally did. Because according to multiple insiders, it was Lily who first approached the production heads after an incident that left even Brie Larson speechless. A scene meant to celebrate women's solidarity somehow ended with Meghan yelling at a lighting technician and accusing Lily of trying to steal her moment. The cameras weren't rolling then, but a microphone was. Now, before we go further, let's pause. Because here's where this story gets uncomfortable. For years, Meghan Markle has claimed she left the royal family to escape toxicity, to start fresh, to tell her truth. Yet, as her acting comeback took shape, those same patterns began re-emerging. Control, image management, manipulation, and the relentless need to dominate every conversation. Could it be that the same traits that alienated the palace are now haunting her in Hollywood? Or is the world simply seeing what it wants to see? A woman breaking under the weight of impossible expectations? Let's rewind to the announcement day. Meghan's team released a polished press statement. The Duchess is returning to her first love, storytelling, alongside incredible women she deeply admires. Fans flooded Twitter with heart emojis and crown gifts. Hollywood PR circuits hummed. "A royal returns," screamed the headlines. But not everyone was celebrating. A source close to the production recalls that even before filming began, Meghan's management team had a list of non-negotiables. No direct eye contact from lower-tier staff, a separate makeup artist, full creative input on her lines, and the right to approve all promotional images before release. To some, it looked like confidence. To others, control. Lily Collins reportedly tried to bridge the gap. She invited Meghan to a private dinner with the cast before shooting. It was meant to break the ice. Instead, it broke the room. One crew member later described the atmosphere that night as tense, like two worlds colliding. Meghan allegedly arrived 40 minutes late, dressed impeccably, but carrying the aura of someone entering a royal banquet, not a friendly meet and greet. During dinner, Brie Larson cracked a light joke about how long it had been since Meghan had done a table read. Meghan smiled, or at least her mouth did, and responded, "Well, not everyone was born with an Oscar, Brie." Laughter died instantly. Lily changed the subject. The damage was done. By the time the first rehearsal began, fault lines were forming. Crew reports describe Meghan frequently interrupting the director to suggest improvements, that always seemed to center her character. She reportedly refused to take direction from an assistant director, reminding them, "I've worked on suits. I know how sets work." When a prop technician corrected her about a continuity issue, she allegedly told them, "You can fix that in post. That's what you're paid for." Now, keep in mind, this was supposed to be the project that redefined Meghan Markle, the Hollywood comeback of a lifetime. Amazon invested millions into positioning it as the next Hidden Figures meets The Crown. But within 10 days, something strange started happening. Emails went missing, schedules changed overnight, crew turnover spiked, and rumors began to swirl about the tension between the leads. Lily tried to keep things professional. On camera, she smiled. Off camera, she confided to a close friend, "It's exhausting. Every moment feels like walking on eggshells." That message, according to reports, later surfaced as part of the internal documentation when things escalated further. Brie Larson, ever the peacemaker, attempted to mediate. She reminded Meghan that film sets are collaborative, that everyone's voice matters. Meghan's alleged reply? "You'd understand if you had to rebuild your reputation from scratch." The implication was clear. Meghan saw herself as fighting for survival, not teamwork. And that's when Lily noticed the shift. Meghan's smiles became shorter, her tone sharper. Every suggestion from Lily was met with subtle sarcasm. Every compliment turned into competition. It wasn't open warfare yet, just a slow suffocation of morale. But this isn't the first time Hollywood has whispered about Meghan's difficult reputation. Years before royalty, former colleagues hinted at diva behavior during her Suits era, special dietary demands, long hours of prep, clashes with wardrobe. Back then, it was dismissed as rumor. Now, standing opposite Lily Collins, those old whispers suddenly sounded prophetic. Still, the outside world had no clue. To the press, Meghan's comeback was radiant. Paparazzi photos showed her laughing on set, hugging Lily, sharing jokes with Brie. But behind every smile, insiders say, was an invisible fracture widening day by day. Then came the speech. Halfway through filming, Amazon organized a press day, a chance for the cast to discuss women supporting women in the industry. Lily Collins prepared a heartfelt speech about mutual respect and mentorship. Brie Larson followed, speaking about empathy. Meghan was scheduled last. And that's where everything imploded. According to multiple witnesses, Meghan tore up her pre-approved notes and delivered a spontaneous monologue about women who are misunderstood, silenced, and villainized for their brilliance. She allegedly referenced people who couldn't handle strong personalities on set. The subtext was clear. Cameras caught Brie's raised eyebrow. Lily sat frozen. The internet would later dissect that clip frame by frame, the moment when female empowerment turned into self-promotion. The fallout from that speech was immediate. Tabloids spun it as bravery. Insiders called it arrogance. But for Lily, that day marked the turning point. She reportedly confided in a producer, saying, "This isn't empowerment anymore. It's control disguised as purpose." As filming continued, tensions reached breaking point. Meghan began arriving late, demanding rewrites, and questioning every direction that didn't favor her character. Crew members were ordered to refer to her as Madam M. And when one in turn accidentally addressed her as Meg, she allegedly stormed off set for the afternoon. By now, whispers had become full-blown conversations. Amazon executives were alerted. Brie considered leaving. Lily started documenting everything, timestamps, emails, interactions, just in case. She wasn't planning to expose Meghan. Not yet. But something deep inside told her that truth has a way of finding daylight. And then came the incident that would make everything spiral out of control, the hot mic moment. No one was supposed to hear it. The cameras were cut, but the boom mic was still live. Meghan, frustrated after a retake, allegedly turned to a crew member and muttered, "Lily thinks she's America's sweetheart. Let's see how long that lasts when I'm done with her." Those 12 words would change everything. Within hours, snippets of that audio started circulating among the crew. Within days, the recording was quietly handed to Amazon's internal review team. And within weeks, whispers became headlines. Meghan Markle accused of bullying Lily Collins on Amazon's set. Now, in typical Hollywood fashion, both camps denied and deflected. Meghan's representatives called it a gross mischaracterization. Lily refused to comment. Brie stayed silent. But behind closed doors, Amazon executives were reportedly furious, not only because of the behavior, but because it threatened the film's entire message. Imagine that, a movie about women uplifting each other collapsing under the weight of one woman's alleged ego. And yet, what makes this story truly captivating isn't just the scandal, it's the pattern. Every time Meghan reinvents herself, controversy follows. The Palace, Netflix, Spotify, and now, Amazon. Different stage, same storm. But before we rush to judgment, here's the haunting question at the heart of this expose. Is Meghan Markle truly a manipulative diva? Or a woman perpetually cast in a villain's role by an industry that resents powerful women? Because somewhere between truth and perception lies the version of Meghan that Lily Collins finally exposed. We're about to go behind the cameras, beyond the press releases, and into the whispered corridors of Hollywood's most secretive production set, where ambition met entitlement and kindness met its breaking point. And when you hear what really happened between Lily Collins, Brie Larson, and Meghan Markle, you'll understand why even Amazon wanted this story buried. Because this isn't just a tale of fame or ego, it's a mirror held up to power itself. And in the next chapter, we'll take you to day one of filming, where Meghan Markle's comeback began not with applause, but with warning signs no one could ignore. When Meghan Markle announced her return to acting, Hollywood didn't just blink, it flinched. The announcement came on a Thursday morning, wrapped in elegant PR language and filtered through soft, golden hour press photos. A powerful return to storytelling, the headline read. Amazon Studios had just signed Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, to star in an ensemble film alongside Lily Collins and Brie Larson, two women celebrated for their grace and groundedness. It was supposed to be a statement. Meghan is back, and this time on her own terms. But within minutes of the announcement, social media erupted into chaos. One side cheered. She's reclaiming her power. They tweeted, quoting Meghan's old speeches about female empowerment. The other side rolled their eyes, calling it Act 3 of the Meghan Markle redemption tour. Memes flooded in, some mocking her royal accent, others showing Lily Collins and Emily in Paris side-eyeing Meghan with captions like, "This will end well." Yet, despite the noise, Amazon pushed forward. The studio needed a headline project, something that screamed diversity, resilience, and global appeal. Meghan checked all three boxes, or so they thought. Inside the Hollywood circle, however, the reaction was more complicated. Industry veterans who had worked with her years before on Suits exchanged skeptical looks. "She's talented," one casting director reportedly said, "but she's intense." Producers whispered about insurance clauses and reputation management strategies. Even Lily Collins, though polite in public, was privately cautious. She had read the headlines for years. She had seen the royal interviews, the fallout, the documentaries. And now, she was about to share top billing with the woman who once accused the British monarchy of racism. Still, no one could deny the anticipation. Meghan's first film in nearly a decade. Her first project since the royal split. Her first chance to prove she was more than a tabloid headline. And at first, it looked like she might just pull it off. The pre-production buzz was electric. Paparazzi stalked studio gates. Fans camped outside the Amazon lot hoping to catch a glimpse of her. Every coffee run became a photo op. And yet, behind the glitz, subtle cracks were already forming. Insiders revealed that Meghan's contract had special provisions, not unusual for high-profile actors, but unusually specific. She required her own trailer, separate from the other stars, equipped with an infrared sauna, a vegan catering service, and a personal stylist approved by her team in Montecito. The lighting setup inside her trailer had to mimic natural daylight to prevent stress-related fatigue. Her scripts were printed on recycled paper only, in cream-colored folders, not white. To the untrained eye, these were harmless eccentricities. But to industry veterans, they were warning signs. Every production assistant knows, small demands often foreshadow bigger battles. Then came the first table read. It was supposed to be a warm reunion. Lily Collins, Brie Larson, Meghan Markle, the director, producers, and the writing team gathered around a long wooden table. Cameras weren't rolling. It was just a creative session. Everyone expected a polite, collaborative energy. But from the moment Meghan walked in, the tone shifted. She arrived 15 minutes late. Not catastrophically late, just enough to make an entrance. The room fell quiet as she entered, wearing a crisp white blouse, tailored trousers, and the unmistakable air of someone used to being watched. She smiled, greeted the room, and took her seat at the head of the table, not where her name card was placed. The director chuckled nervously. "Oh, actually, Meghan, you're over here, next to Lily." Meghan paused, glancing at the seating chart. "I think it's fine here," she said softly. It wasn't rude, but it wasn't collaborative either. Lily shifted uncomfortably. Brie Larson gave her that knowing look, the kind only experienced actors give when they sense incoming turbulence. The reading began. The scene was light, emotional, and empowering. Three women confronting corporate injustice and learning to rely on one another. But when Meghan's turn came, she didn't read. She performed. With every line, her voice rose in conviction. Her tone sharpened. She infused her dialogue with added sentences that weren't in the script, tweaks, rephrasings, improvements. It was mesmerizing to watch, until it wasn't. By page 3, the writers exchanged glances. By page 5, Brie looked down at her script, clearly frustrated. When Lily gently reminded Meghan that they were sticking to a draft, Meghan smiled and said, "I just feel this version honors the message better." The director nodded hesitantly, trying to keep the peace. "We can explore that in rehearsal," he said. Meghan nodded back. "Of course. Collaboration is key," she replied, with the same smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. It was subtle. It wasn't chaos yet. But in that single exchange, everyone in the room understood one thing. This wouldn't be an easy shoot. After the session, Lily went to the lounge to decompress. A few crew members were whispering by the coffee machine. "She's different," one said cautiously. Another added, "You mean intense?" They laughed awkwardly. Lily said nothing. She'd seen it before, big stars throwing their weight around. But something about this was different. It wasn't arrogance. It was control. Later that evening, Meghan's team sent an email to production requesting script adjustments for clarity and authenticity. The problem? The adjustments only applied to her character, giving her more lines, more emotional weight, and a slightly altered ending. When Lily and Brie received the revised pages, they were stunned. The film that was supposed to be about three women equally fighting for justice now seemed to revolve around Meghan's character's redemption arc. Brie reportedly called the director and asked, "Is this what we're doing now? Rewriting the story around her?" The director sighed and said, "I'm trying to keep the peace. Just trust me." The next morning, Lily tried to clear the air. She approached Meghan between takes, smiling, extending her hand. "I think we're going to make something really special," she said warmly. Meghan smiled back, but her eyes didn't soften. "We will," she replied, "as long as everyone knows their role." Those words stuck in Lily's head. Knows their role. It didn't sound like collaboration, it sounded like command. And yet, publicly, Meghan was flawless. Her charisma in interviews was magnetic. She spoke eloquently about female solidarity, breaking barriers, and redefining Hollywood's narratives. "This film," she told Variety, "is about women lifting each other up, not tearing each other down." The irony was almost poetic. Within days, journalists began noticing small things. Brie Larson skipped one of the scheduled press lunches. Lily's team started declining behind-the-scenes interview requests. And crew sources began leaking anonymous tidbits. "The vibe is tense. There's drama brewing. Lily's patience is running thin." Still, the machine rolled on. Amazon had too much money and too much press invested to stop now. But something deeper was stirring behind closed doors. Lily had seen difficult co-stars before. What unsettled her wasn't Meghan's confidence. It was her unpredictability. One moment charming, the next cutting. One moment grateful, the next dismissive. She'd praise a makeup artist for their brilliant work, then complain minutes later about the shade of her foundation being unflattering under studio lighting. And then there was Brie, the quiet observer. She'd worked with intense personalities before, Room, Captain Marvel. But this was different. She wasn't dealing with artistic ego. She was witnessing manipulation. During one group rehearsal, Meghan reportedly interrupted the director mid-sentence. "I think the emotional through line here needs to center around my character's trauma," she said. The director began to explain the shared dynamic, but Meghan pressed further. "It just makes sense. Audiences identify with my story." Lily leaned forward gently. I think the balance is what makes it powerful. It's all of us. Meghan turned to her with a smile. Of course, she said sweetly. But balance doesn't mean equal screen time, does it? Lily froze. Bree looked down. The room went silent. That line, balance doesn't mean equal screen time, would later circulate among crew as shorthand for Meghan's on-set dominance. By the end of week 2, the tension was palpable. The energy on set felt heavy. Rehearsals turned mechanical, and the once collaborative team now moved like clockwork under watchful eyes. And then, the first real confrontation happened. It started small, a lighting setup dispute. Meghan's team wanted warmer tones on her close-ups. The cinematographer refused, citing continuity. Meghan allegedly snapped, "Then I'll have it fixed in post." The cinematographer shot back, "That's not how filmmaking works." Silence. Then, Meghan left the set mid-scene. Lily, caught in the middle, tried to de-escalate. She told crew members not to gossip, to stay professional. But the damage was done. Word spread quickly. She walked off again. That evening, Lily texted a close friend, "I think she's unraveling." Everyone's terrified to say anything. Even the director looks exhausted. Amazon execs began paying attention. Their investment, rumored to be over $80 million, was at risk. They dispatched a liaison to observe filming, though officially under the guise of creative supervision. Everyone knew what that meant. And just when it seemed things might stabilize, Meghan made a surprising move. She invited Lily and Bree for a private lunch at her trailer. "Let's clear the air," she said. Lily agreed. Bree hesitated, then accepted. What happened in that trailer would later become one of the most whispered about events in Hollywood gossip circles. The women sat down. Meghan, ever the hostess, served organic tea and vegan pastries. The tone was civil, at first, but when Lily mentioned the leaked tension rumors, Meghan reportedly leaned forward and said, "You know how this industry works. People love pitting women against each other. But it's not about us, it's about how we handle it. And I intend to handle it gracefully." The message was clear. Stay silent, keep smiling, and follow the script, her script. When Lily left the trailer, she told Bree, "I think I just got warned." Bree didn't respond. She didn't need to. Over the next few days, Meghan seemed almost calmer, more composed, as if she believed the problem was solved. But for Lily, something had shifted. She no longer saw Meghan as a co-star struggling with pressure. She saw a woman performing control as kindness, and doing it so convincingly that even the cameras couldn't tell the difference. And as the production rolled into week 3, the real story, the one Amazon desperately hoped to keep under wraps, was about to explode. Because one morning, just before a crucial scene, a boom mic operator forgot to cut the feed. And what that microphone captured would soon spread across every studio office and gossip outlet in Los Angeles. It was the moment Meghan Markle stopped being an actress and became Hollywood's biggest problem. The sun hadn't even cleared the Los Angeles skyline when the first black SUV rolled through the studio gates. Crew members were still juggling coffees, clipboards, and half-charged walkie-talkies when the call came through. "She's here." No one had to ask who she was. The production had been buzzing for weeks about the Duchess's grand return to acting. Some were curious, others cautious. But all of them knew that the first day would set the tone. In Hollywood, reputations travel faster than light, and Meghan Markle, the character in our dramatized world, carried a comet's tail of headlines behind her. Inside the soundstage, Lily Collins was reviewing lines with the director. She was calm, focused, the sort of person who brings quiet order to chaos. Across the room, Brie Larson leaned against a prop desk, joking with a grip about the fake office set they were about to inhabit. Then a hush fell. Meghan entered like someone who'd memorized every camera angle in existence. Sunglasses, coffee cup, precise smile. Her team fanned out ahead of her, checking lighting, adjusting temperature. It was theatrical, mesmerizing, and, according to one crew member, a little terrifying. "Morning, everyone," she said, voice smooth as marble. "Ready to make magic?" Lily smiled politely. "Always." Bree nodded. "Let's do it." But there was an edge in the air now, one of those invisible shifts that turns a friendly set into a chessboard. The first take. The opening scene was simple, 3 women sharing a quiet conversation in a cafe. The director wanted authenticity, a natural rhythm, overlapping dialogue. But as soon as the cameras rolled, something felt off. Meghan's lines came out with gravitas better suited to a courtroom monologue. Every pause was deliberate, every glance a declaration. Lily, ever professional, adjusted her delivery to match, trying to find harmony. Bree tried to follow, but the energy felt staged. "Cut," the director said. "Let's loosen it up, yeah? More casual, more real." Meghan smiled. "Of course. I just think the weight of the moment should come through. These women are breaking barriers." "Absolutely," Lily agreed. "But they're also friends. Maybe the power comes from how natural it feels." Meghan's smile didn't falter. "Sure," she said, "as long as natural doesn't mean ordinary." The second take ran smoother, but a new pattern emerged. Each time the camera found Lily, Meghan would subtly shift, ensuring the lens favored her profile. When Bree spoke, Meghan leaned in, framing herself in the same shot. It wasn't sabotage, it was strategy. By lunchtime, the director called for a break. Lily headed to craft services, half laughing with Bree about how rusty everyone felt. But a production assistant approached, nervous. Meghan requested the lighting team adjust scene 2 to a warmer tone. Said it flatters everyone. Everyone, or just her? Lily wondered, but said nothing. The crew whispers. Hollywood crews have a sixth sense for storms. By mid-afternoon, small things were already sparking quiet conversations. A camera operator murmured about reshoots. A wardrobe assistant whispered that Meghan's stylist had vetoed an outfit because it wasn't queen energy. Bree rolled her eyes. "Welcome back to high school, the deluxe edition." Lily chuckled softly, though unease flickered behind it. She'd worked with divas before. But this felt different, not the usual artistic tension, more like someone rewriting the atmosphere itself. That evening, the director called the leads for a quick debrief. The goal: smooth out rhythm, find chemistry. Lily spoke first. "Maybe we can rehearse off camera tomorrow, just us three. Build trust." "Great idea," said Bree. Meghan hesitated. "I think chemistry happens organically. Forcing it can make it artificial." The room went quiet. The director nodded slowly. "Okay, let's see how tomorrow feels." As they left, Bree whispered, "That's Hollywood for not happening." Lily forced a laugh, but her instincts told her something was brewing. The second day, shadows under the lights. If day 1 was about introductions, day 2 was about boundaries. Meghan arrived before anyone else this time, her team already rearranging props. "The table should be closer to the window," she told a set designer. "It reads more powerful." The designer adjusted, only to have the director quietly move it back later for framing. When Meghan noticed, she smiled tightly. "We'll figure it out." The tension was quiet, polite, deadly. During a rehearsal break, Lily found herself alone with Meghan near the makeup chairs. She decided to be brave. "You were incredible this morning," she said honestly. "Your delivery has so much conviction." "Thank you," Meghan replied. "I've had to fight for every line I speak in this industry." "I get that," Lily said. "We all have our battles." Meghan's eyes flicked up from her reflection. "Some of us have more to prove." It wasn't an insult, but it landed like one. Lily nodded slowly. "Maybe, but we're on the same team, right?" Meghan smiled into the mirror. "Of course we are." The director's dilemma. By midweek, the director was caught between diplomacy and disaster control. "She's talented," he told his assistant, "but she's rewriting the movie one scene at a time." Reshoots piled up. Meghan requested dialogue changes that subtly centered her character's moral journey. Lines originally written for Lily now passed through her mouth. Bree's comedic beats were trimmed. It was death by revision. The crew coined a quiet nickname for the phenomenon, the Meghan effect. Still, Lily refused to fuel gossip. She smiled, worked harder, and focused on the story. But Bree, more outspoken, wasn't having it. "If we keep letting this slide," she told Lily one night over takeout, "the whole film's going to orbit around her, and the audience will feel it." Lily sighed. "Then we do what we always do. Stay professional and let the work speak." Bree smirked. "That'd be easier if the work could get a word in." The confrontation no one saw coming. On Friday afternoon, the big confrontation scene was scheduled, a dramatic exchange between Lily's and Meghan's characters. The director wanted raw emotion. The tension on set made that easy. Cameras rolled. Lily delivered her lines with genuine vulnerability. Meghan countered with icy precision. The energy was electric, until she added a line that wasn't in the script. You'll never understand what it means to be me." The director let it run, intrigued. Lily froze for a fraction, then improvised a response. The take was powerful, too powerful. When cut, echoed, the crew erupted in applause. But Lily felt uneasy. That line, unscripted, changed the entire dynamic of the scene. Afterward, she approached Meghan. "That line was interesting," she said carefully. Meghan shrugged. "It just came to me. Truth tends to do that." Lily hesitated. "It's good, but maybe we should run it by the writers?" Meghan smiled faintly. "They'll thank me later." The writers didn't. They were furious. Overnight, emails flew between producers debating whether to keep the improvised line. The director finally ruled, "It stays." The footage was too strong to cut. That decision would haunt them later. The first crack in the mirror. By the weekend, exhaustion had set in. The production moved to an exterior location, a quiet cafe downtown. Tourists gathered behind barricades, snapping photos. "We love you, Lily," one shouted. Another yelled, "Duchess Meghan, smile." The attention thrilled Meghan, who waved gracefully. But when fans cheered louder for Lily, her expression stiffened just slightly, small enough that only the cameras caught it. During a setup delay, Lily approached a lighting technician struggling with gear. "Need a hand?" she asked. Before he could answer, Meghan's voice floated from across the street. "Careful, Lily. You'll steal his job next." Laughter rippled through the crew, awkward and nervous. Lily forced a grin. "Only if it comes with overtime pay." But inside, she felt a knot tighten. Humor as dominance. It was subtle, but unmistakable. That night, she wrote in her journal, "I wanted to believe the headlines were wrong. Maybe they aren't." The mic that never turned off. Late Monday evening, they filmed another cafe scene, just Meghan and Lily this time. The director called for quiet on set. The take went smoothly, and when cut, sounded, everyone relaxed. Or thought they did. The boom operator, still recording ambient sound, caught a quiet exchange. "Meghan, off camera. She's too good at this." "Maybe that's the problem." A voice, someone nearby, murmured, "She's your co-star, not your rival." Meghan's soft laugh followed. In this town, those are the same thing. The operator didn't mean to save the audio, but he did. Within hours, it circulated through the editing bay. Nobody spoke of it openly, but everyone heard. Lily didn't find out until days later, when a sympathetic sound editor pulled her aside. "You didn't hear it from me," he said, handing her an earbud. She listened once, twice, then removed the earbud and simply said, "Thank you." The foreshadowing. Something in Lily changed after that. She wasn't angry, just resolved. She started documenting everything. Call times, changes, comments. Not as revenge, but protection. Bree noticed and quietly did the same. Meanwhile, Meghan seemed blissfully unaware, or perhaps perfectly aware and unbothered. She arrived each day immaculate, charming, ready to perform. The cameras adored her. The crew tolerated her. The project endured her. But the undercurrent had turned. What began as awe was becoming apprehension. One assistant summed it up best during a late-night rap. "She's brilliant on screen. But off-screen, you feel like you're standing too close to the sun." Lily heard the comment, pretended not to, and walked away. The cliffhanger. By the end of that first week, the film's public image and its private reality had fully diverged. Magazines published glossy photos of 3 empowered women rewriting Hollywood. On set, silence filled the spaces where laughter used to be. And then came the email, the one that would change everything. It arrived from Meghan's personal publicist, addressed to Amazon's communications team. The subject line read, "Narrative Alignment Notes." Attached was a detailed document outlining how future press materials should frame the film's story, and specifically, how Meghan's role should be described as the emotional and moral center of the narrative. In other words, she wanted the spotlight codified. The studio forwarded it to the director. The director sent it to producers. And within minutes, Lily and Bree received polite notifications that the next round of press interviews had been rescheduled. Rescheduled, in Hollywood speak, means filtered. Lily closed her laptop slowly, realizing the shift was complete. This wasn't collaboration anymore. This was a takeover disguised as inspiration. She glanced across the lot where Meghan's trailer lights glowed like a private kingdom. Somewhere inside, strategy was being written. Somewhere outside, patience was running out. Because soon, one small act, a whisper, a recording, a single message, would ignite the firestorm no one could contain. And when it did, the world would stop asking how Meghan returned to Hollywood and start asking how long Hollywood would let her stay. The studio still smelled of coffee and ozone when Lena Corbin, our lily-like figure, walked in that morning. Cameras hummed, light rigs clicked into place, and everyone moved with a kind of quiet dread that had become routine since Mara Kent's arrival. Mara, the world-famous actress making her comeback after a royal-style scandal, was radiant as always. Perfectly pressed blouse, not a strand of hair out of place. To the casual eye, she was the embodiment of grace. But to those working with her, she'd become a weather system, capable of changing the emotional climate of the set with a single sigh. Lena had learned to navigate storms. She smiled through tension, thanked people twice, apologized once. But after the mic incident, the one where Mara had muttered, "In this town, co-star means competitor," something in her had shifted. She couldn't unhear it. The director called everyone together for the day's briefing. A pivotal scene awaited. 3 friends confronting the mentor who betrayed them. It was supposed to be about solidarity and forgiveness. The irony didn't escape anyone. Mara stood beside the camera, script folded like a royal decree. "I've rewritten a few lines," she announced. The director hesitated. "We'll take a look after rehearsal." She smiled. "We'll see how it plays first." That was how Mara Kent operated. Not through confrontation, but through inevitability. She simply assumed her will would become fact. The assistant who saw too much. That's when Jonas, a 24-year-old assistant sound tech, entered the story. Jonas wasn't anyone important, not in the Hollywood sense. He carried cables, fetched adapters, and worked 12-hour shifts for the thrill of proximity to greatness. He also happened to be the person who'd saved the hot mic audio weeks earlier. And unlike everyone else, Jonas still had the raw file. At first, he told no one. But he'd started noticing things. The way crew members avoided Mara's eye, the whispered apologies that followed her exits, the small emotional bruises people carried after talking to her. One afternoon, he found Lena sitting alone outside the set, staring at her hands. "You okay?" he asked. She looked up, startled. "Fine. Just tired." He hesitated, then said quietly, "You shouldn't have to be." Lena gave a small smile. That's the job. But Jonas knew better. He'd worked other sets. He knew exhaustion, and this wasn't it. This was fear with good posture. The lunch that broke the peace. Midweek brought the studio's morale lunch, an attempt by producers to boost spirits. Food trucks, picnic tables, live music. Everyone was expected to mingle. Mara arrived late, wearing sunglasses despite the shade. When she finally joined the group, the chatter dimmed. She complimented the chef, praised the studio, then turned to Lena. "You've been doing lovely work," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "You have this innocence that plays well on camera. It's refreshing." Compliment or insult? No one could tell. Bree's counterpart, Clara Vance, nearly choked on her lemonade. Lena smiled tightly. "Thank you. That means a lot." Mara nodded. "Just remember, audiences love authenticity, but only one leading lady can drive the story." Laughter rippled. Someone changed the subject. But Jonas, from a few tables away, caught the moment perfectly. Not on camera. Just in his memory. He watched Lena's jaw tighten, her fingers curl around a napkin until it tore. That was the first fracture. The rehearsal that went too far. Later that day, they rehearsed the forgiveness scene. The director wanted vulnerability. Mara wanted dominance. "Let's make it feel spontaneous," she suggested. "Good," the director said. "Try feeding off Lena's energy." The scene began. Lena's character confessed betrayal, eyes glistening. Mara listened, stone still, then improvised a new line. "Maybe you were never strong enough to stand beside me." Gasps fluttered off camera. That line wasn't in the script. The director didn't yell cut. He was too stunned. Lena, refusing to break character, replied softly, "Then maybe you mistook cruelty for strength." It was the best take of the shoot, and the worst moment of Lena's career. After cut, Mara smiled sweetly. "Powerful, right?" "Powerful," the director agreed faintly. But in the editing booth weeks later, that scene would become the centerpiece of the leak, the clip that launched 1,000 think pieces. The quiet rebellion. That night, Jonas met Clara in the parking lot. She was pacing, phone in hand, furious. She's rewriting entire arcs, she muttered. The film's message is gone. Jonas told her about the recording, the hot mic file he'd kept. If people heard what she said, they'd understand. Clara's eyes widened. You still have it? He nodded. She thought for a long moment. Don't send it to anyone yet. Just keep it safe. The next morning, rumors began to spread that someone had receipts. No one knew who or what kind, but the rumor alone shifted the power dynamic. For the first time, Mara seemed uneasy. She called a private meeting with the producers. Afterward, everyone noticed new NDAs being circulated. Jonas received one, too. He signed it, but kept the file anyway. Not out of malice, out of conscience. Lena's breaking point. By Friday, Lena couldn't fake serenity anymore. During a lighting setup, she overheard Mara whispering to a costume designer. She's lovely, but you can't manufacture star power. Lena didn't confront her. She simply walked off set, tears burning behind her eyes. In her trailer, she sat alone, staring at the framed call sheet with both their names on it. Was this the price of ambition? To crush others softly, with compliments sharp enough to draw blood? Her phone buzzed. A message from Clara. Dinner tonight. You'll want to come. At that dinner, in a small restaurant miles from the studio, Clara told her everything. About Jonas, about the recording, about the whispers spreading through post-production. Lena didn't want revenge. She wanted truth. I'm tired, she said. But maybe people need to hear what it feels like. Clara squeezed her hand. Then tell them. Just not yet. The preview screening. Weeks later, a rough cut of the film was shown to executives. The audience applauded, but the room felt hollow. The movie looked beautiful, but its message was gone. What was supposed to be a story about collective strength had become a portrait of one woman's dominance. Afterward, a senior executive approached Lena. You're phenomenal, he said. But she's the one the press will talk about. Lena smiled wearily. That's the pattern, isn't it? Outside, in the dark parking lot, Jonas handed her a flash drive. This is the raw audio, he said. I'm done being scared. Lena looked at it, then at him. What do you expect me to do? Whatever feels right. She slipped it into her pocket, knowing it was a ticking clock disguised as evidence. The cliffhanger. 2 nights later, the drive vanished. Jonas's apartment was broken into. No forced entry, just a missing laptop. The file was gone. So was his job. The studio released a statement the next morning. Production completed smoothly. Rumors of tension are exaggerated. But inside, everyone knew something had shifted again. Someone had covered their tracks. Someone powerful enough to erase mistakes before they hit the headlines. Lena didn't speak to anyone for 3 days. Then she called Clara. I'm done being quiet, she said. If they want to bury the truth, I'll dig it up myself. The next morning, she opened her laptop and began typing an open letter. Not naming names. Not accusing anyone directly. Just telling her story, the story of how kindness can become a weapon, how power hides behind charm, and how silence protects the wrong people. Before she hit publish, she whispered to herself, this isn't revenge. It's release. Then she clicked. The letter went viral within hours. And although it never mentioned Mara Kent by name, the world connected the dots instantly. That's how one quiet witness, an actress who refused to fight dirty, accidentally set Hollywood on fire. And as the headlines multiplied, Mara prepared her counterattack, the kind that doesn't happen in interviews, but in boardrooms. The invitation looked harmless enough. A simple card embossed with gold lettering. Press Day, the future of female voices in film. Everyone assumed it would be routine, photos, compliments, sound bites. But inside that studio ballroom, under hot white lights and streaming cameras, the balance of power was about to shift for good. Mara Kent stood in front of her dressing room mirror hours before the event, rehearsing smiles. She'd survived the online storm after Lena's letter by doing what she always did, control the story. Amazon's publicity team had booked her to deliver a keynote about leadership on set. The irony was exquisite. Her assistant hovered nearby. They want something inspiring, Mara. Short, hopeful, nothing too pointed. Mara adjusted an earring. Hopeful doesn't trend, she said. The build-up. Meanwhile, Lena Corbin arrived through the service entrance, avoiding the red carpet. She wasn't scheduled to speak. She'd been invited as a courtesy. The studio wanted the illusion of harmony. 3 stars, 1 happy family. Clara Vance intercepted her backstage. You sure you want to be here? Lena exhaled. I'm tired of hiding. Clara nodded. Then let's sit in the front row. Make them remember you're not invisible. Jonas was there too, working quietly with the audio team again. He'd been rehired under a new contractor after weeks of unemployment. Officially, his return had nothing to do with the lost recording. Unofficially, everyone knew that nothing in Hollywood stayed buried forever. The speech begins. The room filled with executives, influencers, and journalists hungry for redemption narratives. Cameras blinked like mechanical insects. When the host announced, "Please welcome Mara Kent," the applause was thunderous. Mara took the stage in a white suit that caught every spotlight. She thanked the studio, the fans, the extraordinary women she'd worked with. Her voice carried the practiced warmth of someone who'd made contrition into an art form. Then she pivoted. People talk a lot about toxicity, she said. But sometimes what we call toxicity is really the discomfort of watching a woman lead. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Mara smiled, sensing the effect. On my last set, I was called controlling, demanding, even cruel. But no one uses those words when men take charge. Applause erupted, some genuine, some fearful. The PR manager at the side of the room mouthed, "Stay humble," but Mara didn't see. She continued, voice rising. "I won't apologize for expecting excellence. I won't shrink to make others comfortable. If that makes me difficult, then maybe difficult is what this industry needs." The audience clapped louder. But in the second row, Lena sat frozen. The words felt like déjà vu, eloquent, polished, and entirely detached from truth. Clara leaned over and whispered, "She's rewriting history in real time." Lena whispered back, "And they're cheering for it." The spark. When the applause died, Mara glanced directly at Lena. "And to those who misunderstand passion as cruelty," she said, "I hope one day you'll recognize the difference." It wasn't a name, but it might as well have been a slap. Gasps scattered across the room. The host tried to steer the conversation toward the upcoming release, but the energy had changed. Mara had turned a celebration into a duel. Cameras zoomed in on Lena's face, 1,000 flashes of pity and curiosity. Lena stood slowly. "Excuse me," she said quietly, and walked toward the exit. For a moment, the room forgot Mara existed. All lenses followed Lena, the silent defiance of someone refusing to play along anymore. Mara's smile faltered for half a breath before returning, polished again. "Some people prefer to leave rather than listen," she said. The audience didn't applaud that line. Behind the curtains, backstage, Lena found a quiet corridor and leaned against the wall, shaking. She wasn't crying. She was trembling from adrenaline. Jonas appeared, carrying a handheld recorder. "I got everything," he said. Lena blinked. "Why?" "Because you deserve a record that isn't rewritten tomorrow." Clara joined them, face pale. "You realize she just declared war, right? Half the internet's going to call you fragile by morning." Lena laughed bitterly. "Let them. At least I'm not fake." Jonas looked at her recorder, hesitating. "There's more," he said. "Remember that file? I found a backup. Cloud storage." She tried to delete it, but he pulled out a small drive. "It's still here." Lena stared at it, the proof that the world had never heard. "I don't want to destroy her," she said softly. "I just want to stop pretending she's the victim." "Then tell the truth," Clara said. "In your own time. Your own way." The viral moment. That night, Mara's speech hit every news feed. Edited clips circulated within hours. Her fiery rhetoric, her poised confidence, her crowd-pleasing smile. Headlines read, "Mara Kent breaks silence on sexism in Hollywood." But unedited live streams told a different story. In them, viewers saw Lena walking out mid-speech. They heard Mara's pointed remark. They noticed the uneasy silence that followed. And for the first time, public opinion didn't align neatly with the script. Comments flooded in. "Why call out someone sitting right there? She's not empowering women. She's humiliating one." Where's the line between confidence and cruelty? By morning, the video had 30 million views. The retaliation. Inside her penthouse suite, Mara watched the coverage in silence. Her manager hovered nervously. "We can spin this," he said. "Say you were misunderstood again. Maybe do a podcast tour?" Mara turned off the screen. "No. We control the narrative, not react to it." She opened her laptop, typing furiously. A new statement appeared on her social feed within the hour. "I will not apologize for demanding excellence." Those who mistake leadership for bullying should examine their own insecurities. It went viral instantly, and not in the way she wanted. Even her supporters grew uneasy. One entertainment journalist tweeted, "Courage is facing your flaws, not doubling down on them." The turning tide. Meanwhile, Lena's phone wouldn't stop vibrating. Reporters wanted quotes, talk shows wanted appearances, and fan accounts flooded her with messages of solidarity. She ignored them all, choosing instead to upload something else, a simple audio clip, Jonas's recovered file. No captions, no accusations. Just 12 seconds of Mara's off-camera voice saying, "Co-star means competitor." Within minutes, the internet connected every dot. Context or not, the illusion shattered. Articles that had hailed Mara as a trailblazer now questioned her authenticity. Is this empowerment or entitlement? One headline read. Lena didn't celebrate. She sat quietly with Clara and Jonas in a small cafe downtown, watching the story unfold like a storm on distant hills. "This isn't victory," she said. "It's exposure. Light doesn't heal, it just shows the wound." The cliff edge. 3 days later, the studio issued a neutral press release. "We support all artists involved and remain proud of the film." Privately, they postponed its premiere indefinitely. Mara disappeared from public view for a week, retreating to a seaside villa. Insiders said she was regrouping. Others whispered she was negotiating her exit clause. Lena returned to set to record final voiceovers, walking through corridors still lined with her co-stars' posters. Jonas crossed her path carrying equipment. "Feels empty without her," he said. Lena half smiled. "Empty's not always bad. Sometimes it's just quiet." As she left the studio for the last time, her phone buzzed again. A private number, no caller ID. She almost ignored it, then answered. "Mara Kent." The voice said, calm, deliberate. "Congratulations, Lena. You finally got your truth. Now let's see how long it keeps you warm." The line went dead. Lena stood frozen, the phone trembling in her hand. Outside, paparazzi shouted questions she couldn't hear over the sudden roar of wind. Because somewhere beyond those flashing bulbs, Mara Kent was already planning her next move. One that would make the last scandal look like a rehearsal. When the leak hit the servers, no one claimed it. There was no watermark, no timestamp, just 12 seconds of raw sound that started with laughter and ended with the soft, unmistakable line. "In this town, co-star means competitor." 12 seconds. That was all it took to set the entertainment world on fire. The shockwave. By dawn, every gossip site had embedded the clip. Radio hosts replayed it between commercials. On social media, hashtags multiplied like sparks on dry grass. Hashtag the mic. Hashtag truth on set. Hashtag who is Mara Kent. Studio executives woke to vibrating phones and endless group chats. The marketing head typed one sentence into the internal chat. "Pull every promo until we know what we're dealing with." Down on the street, fans were divided. Half defended Mara Kent as a misunderstood perfectionist. The other half called her a bully wrapped in designer empathy. Lena Corbin's name trended too, though she hadn't spoken a word. The world had decided she must be the unnamed target. Inside the studio, in the editing bay, a small crowd gathered around a monitor. The sound engineer, Trevor, played the file again, headphones dangling from his neck. "It's definitely her voice," he said quietly. "We recorded this on the cafe set." A junior producer whispered, "How did it get out?" Trevor looked down. Cloud sync. Someone had access. The room fell silent. Everyone knew Jonas had once handled those files. Everyone also knew he'd been rehired. By afternoon, his security badge stopped working. Jonas's apartment. Jonas woke to pounding on his door. Not police, studio security. 2 men in black jackets entered without waiting. "We just need your external drives," one said. "They're encrypted," Jonas replied. "Good," the man said. "Hand them over." He did. There was no point fighting. When they left, he sat on the couch staring at the empty space where his hard drive used to be. Then he opened his laptop and backed up everything again, from memory, from habit, from paranoia. He knew the rule of digital storms. Once something hits the cloud, it never truly disappears. Mara's command center. Across the city, Mara Kent's penthouse had turned into a crisis bunker. Her manager, publicist, and lawyer formed a triangle around her. "They'll crucify you if you stay quiet," said the publicist. "They'll crucify me if I speak," she answered. On the television behind them, pundits debated whether the voice was genuine. One analyst said, "If it's fake, why hasn't she denied it?" Mara turned off the screen. "I want to know who leaked it." The lawyer sighed. "You can't sue a rumor." Mara smiled thinly. "Watch me." Lena's silence. Lena spent the next 48 hours at her sister's house outside the city, away from cameras. Every network wanted her reaction. Every friend texted condolences disguised as curiosity. Clara called hourly. "Say something," she urged. "Even a tweet." "I don't want to feed it," Lena replied. "But it's feeding on you." That night, Lena opened her notes app and typed, "I don't hate anyone. I just miss honesty." Then she deleted it. The world already had too many words. What it needed now was proof. The interview. 3 days later, Mara sat across from a talk show host known for gentle ambushes. Cameras rolled, lights softened, the audience hushed. "Let's start with the obvious," the host said. "Is that your voice?" Mara took a long breath. "People love to create villains. If holding myself and others to high standards makes me one, then yes, I'm guilty of caring." Applause erupted, perfectly timed. "But the recording?" The host pressed. Mara smiled. "Out of context, passion sounds like arrogance. But I know who I am, and I'm not afraid of 12 seconds." The crowd cheered again, but online the clip landed differently. Her tone was calm, her words rehearsed, and her eyes didn't match her smile. Comments poured in. "She's acting again. 12 seconds of truth, 2 minutes of spin." By morning, the clip had been remixed into memes. Her damage control had become fuel. The return of the file. At sunrise, Jonas received an anonymous message. "You didn't lose everything. Check the drive you left at stage 3. He hurried to the deserted soundstage, heart hammering. On a table lay a small SD card taped to a script. Inside was not one clip, but hours of raw behind-the-scenes audio. Conversations, laughter, tension. Proof that the leaked 12 seconds weren't isolated. In one segment, Mara's voice cut through the chatter. "If they can't follow direction, I'll find people who can." Another, "Don't tell Lena, it'll throw her off." Jonas realized the leak wasn't sabotage anymore. It was survival. Lena's choice. That evening, Jonas met Lena and Clara at the same cafe where everything began. He placed the SD card on the table. "This is it. All of it." Clara leaned forward. "We release it. End of story." Lena shook her head. "No, that makes us her mirror image." Jonas frowned. "Then what?" "Let the film speak," Lena said. "Show them the truth through what's already on screen." Clara blinked. The premiere's canceled. Then we hold our own. The Rogue screening. A week later, an anonymous invitation circulated among journalists and film critics. One night only private screening. No NDAs, no sponsors. When attendees arrived, they found Lena and Clara greeting them personally. The lights dimmed, and the unfinished cut of the film that had started it all, flickered onto the screen. The raw version included everything. Shaky takes, real arguments, unfiltered emotion. It wasn't polished, but it was powerful. When the credits rolled, no one clapped. They just sat there, stunned, silent, processing. Lena stepped forward. "We made a film about women finding their voice. Somewhere along the way, we lost ours. This is us taking it back." The audience rose in a standing ovation. Cameras weren't allowed, but words spread instantly. Critics called it the most honest performance Hollywood never wanted you to see. Mara's final gambit. The next morning, Mara's lawyer delivered a cease and desist order. "The screening violated contract terms," he said. Lena's lawyer responded with 2 words, "fair use." For the first time, Mara Kent found herself without control. Studio partners distanced themselves quietly. Future projects shifted schedules. In a last attempt to reclaim the spotlight, she posted a long statement online. "Great women are rarely liked in their time. History will understand me." The post went viral for the wrong reasons. Screenshots of her past remarks flooded back. The narrative she'd written about empowerment had finally collapsed under the weight of its contradictions. Aftermath. Months later, The Three was released independently. It didn't break box office records, but it won something rarer: respect. Lena used her portion of the profits to start a mentorship fund for young filmmakers. Clara directed her first feature. Jonas moved to New York and opened a sound design studio that printed one rule on its walls: don't silence the truth for comfort. As for Mara Kent, she vanished from screens. Sometimes her name trended again when someone rediscovered that old recording, but she never commented. The industry whispered that she was writing a memoir. Others said she'd left the country. But every now and then, at festivals or panels, someone would quote her infamous line, "In this town, co-star means competitor." And audiences would laugh, not cruelly, but knowingly. The phrase had become a cautionary tale. The cliffhanger. One autumn morning, Lena received a plain envelope with no return address. Inside was a flash drive and a single note. Not all recordings were meant for destruction. Some tell the story you haven't heard yet. She looked out her apartment window toward the city skyline, the same skyline that had devoured and remade her life. Then she slipped the drive into her computer. The screen blinked. A video opened, and there, in high-definition clarity, appeared Mara Kent. Years younger, smiling into a camera, saying softly, "Someday they'll thank me for being impossible." The file ended. Lena sat back, heart pounding, because she realized this wasn't the end of the story, just the quiet before the next storm.